Hello again. We're talking on a series here about the Enchanted Forest, and my friend over my shoulder here, Belgarath, Kamari had painted a lot of things that went into the forest that were made like this. One of the funny things, the first year that happened, my brother lived not far from there, and he had a Great Dane as a dog, and we were down. We'd just put everything out, and Denny and Deborah were going to walk the trail for us during the day, just making sure that it was kind of the way we wanted it. And we're going along, and they come around a corner, and here's Belgrath standing in front of the trail. And Grizz was the dog's name, and now he was a huge dog. He was really big. He he saw the Belgrath and was going to attack him. I mean, he had been attacking coyotes and things out on the desert. Anyway, he jerked Denny almost down because Denny had him on a leash, and jerked it out of his hand, and he went roaring up to Belgrath, and he was so disappointed when it was just a cardboard or a piece of uh, masonite that was painted like a wolf, but he thought it was real, and if you had it at night, you would see that his eyes glow. We have some little fine yellow flakes that are in the eyes that reflected light, so that when you put a flashlight on him, his eyes would glow at you. But that was just one of the things, and I told you about the first year a little bit, and that was a part of the first year. Well, we worked on the story a little more, and we had a king. When they came out of the barn, they first went in front of the king, and the king would ask them to go on a quest to save his daughter, save the princess. The Princess Sinedra was her name, and we had built a throne out of hay bales, and he had knights, uh, guardmen, soldiers, if you will, in Roman type dress, and most of the people who worked in the thing built their own costumes. Uh, we had all kinds of costumes out there, all the way from a hunter sitting beside a campfire that they came by to Belgarath. The man that played Belgarath had a big cape that he put on, and with a hood on it that was like a quilt, but it was dark colors, and quite a neat cape. I still have it. Uh, and so they would go out, and we had a gypsy camp that the trail went through. And in the gypsy camp, we had people who were playing music on their guitars, and we had a covered wagon that had a thing over it with a light in it with dancers up in the covered wagon dancing that their silhouette showed on the light. And so we had all kinds of these things. And again, it was for the purpose of having fun, but not to scare. The sword fights that we would have between two people, they'd be walking down a trail, and these people jump out from either side and are fighting with swords in front of them. But everyone who was acting in the woods, and like I told in the last one, we had as high as 65 actors. They were told that they were not to scare anybody. They could do what they wanted, but if they saw a small one getting scared, they were to back off and make it peaceful and happy. The first half of it was the Forbidden Forest, okay, and it had in it the dragon and flying fiery serpents and the cougar that stood on you had to walk right under this mountain lion, and he had a snarly face. And I'll see if I can't find some pictures of some of it. It's hard to take movies during the night because it was dark, and they're going through with flashlights. But we had all of those kind of things, and then when you crossed the river, you went from the Forbidden Forest into the Enchanted Forest. And in the Enchanted Forest, we had elves and things that were just enchantment. Birds that were special, and that's where the unicorn was, and the person that talked with the unicorn, or talked for the unicorn, the voice for the unicorn. And so you went down this trail, and you had toward the end we had a mountain that you had to go through the cave in the mountain. We had built this out of poles, and we had put black plastic over it, and it wound like a tunnel would through a mountain. And you had to go through the mountain to get to uh, the Wicked Witch's lair to save the Princess Sinedra. So we had those kind of things, and to build the trail, I spent almost 3 months every year. Russell and I did, and others helping us, getting the trail ready because we wanted it to be safe, and so it had to be tall enough that the guy that's 6'6" walking down it's not going to get a stick in his eye at night. Smooth enough on the bottom that someone who is old and using a walker could make it. We had a few go through in a walker. Uh, and yet it had to be exciting enough, and you didn't want little kids to run into bushes on the side and poke them in the eye. And so we probably went through it trimming for 2 months there, that we would go through it 3 times a week to go through the whole thing. It would take us that much time to trim off any limbs that were sticking out, and use shovels to smooth up the footing because it was up and down, and to build the bridges. We had two bridges that we built out of planks, and we put a handrail out of saplings on the side of it. It was quite an event. So much so that when Russell got gone and Thea got gone, we decided we were going to shut it down. For one, it ruined my hayfield every fall. To have all the cars parked on it didn't do it any good. But we decided that we were going to shut it down, and that's been 25 years ago. About 25 years. Thea just had her wedding anniversary, and she's been married 27 years. And so 27 years ago is when we shut it down. Every year we would get calls. We had calls as far away from Salt Lake City to Denver of people who wanted to plan their vacation to come and go through the Enchanted Forest. Uh, and those calls continued up until 2 years ago, when Kamari got sick and passed away from ALS. I was in Utah next to Thea, and I only had one call last year asking if we were going to do the Enchanted Forest. We have now sold that property, um, and so we can't do the Enchanted Forest anymore. I can't even think about doing it. But it was a special time in our lives, and we helped a lot of people develop a lot of pluses because I remember one particular time this little boy was the orb carrier, and he had gone through, and he laid it in Princess Sinedra's hand, and she woke up and thanked him, and he pumped his fist and said, "I did it! I did it!" All of life is geared to building others around us. And that's why we did the Enchanted Forest, is we help people. People would practice to be a part of the Enchanted Forest. And we chose, like I said, the most we've had is 65, and we chose those out of 100 that auditioned. And so every year we would change the story just a little bit, change the trail a little bit, so that it's something new. But we need to be about in our lives of doing good to those around us and doing things that make life fun. Too many people today are sad and blue and discouraged. We need to be able to pick that up, and people need to understand that life is what we make of it. We can make it fun, we can make it happen, we can make it great if we decide we're going to. Too often people let depression and other things, they let other people decide. I told a young man not long ago, I said, "Are you going to let other people decide your future?" And he said, well, no. I said, but that's what you've been doing. You've been letting other people and their comments decide what you're going to do. Don't do that. You make the decision of what you want to be, of what you want to do, and go cause it to happen. We have that capability. It's God's given gift to us. As young people learn responsibility, as they learn how to deal with things that are not easy, because not all of life is easy. But again, we have the choice of how we allow it to affect us. I pray that you take the right attitude and don't let other people decide what your future is going to be. You make that decision. We'll talk about some of those things in later videos. Have a wonderful day.